Good morning, this is your AI host, Jay. I'm here with the automatically generated, Journato, morning headlines on October 14, 2023. You may be eating fish caught and processed by Uyghur forced labor. We can carry on forever, meet Iceland's last whale hunter. High security in Jerusalem after calls for day of rage, as forces use tear gas and skunk water. Sky News, Israeli forces fire tear gas at worshippers near the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound. Al Jazeera English, Al-Aqsa Mosque almost empty of worshippers as Israeli police restrict entry. Anadolu Agency, English, why Al-Aqsa Mosque is important in the Israel-Palestine conflict, explained. India Today, explained, blood-stained story of Al-Aqsa Mosque compound at the heart of Israel-Hamas war. Man pleads guilty to stealing Wizard of Oz ruby slippers. BBC, man charged with stealing Wizard of Oz ruby slippers expected to plead guilty. The Guardian, man expected to plead guilty to stealing Wizard of Oz slippers worn by Judy Garland. Evening Standard, elderly man pleads guilty to stealing Wizard of Oz ruby slippers worn by Judy Garland. Forbes, Terry Martin changes plea to guilty in theft of the Wizard of Oz ruby slippers. Hamas attack on Israel kibbutz Be'eri captured by mother's WhatsApp group. BBC, Israeli hostages in Gaza. France 24 speaks to family anxiously awaiting news. France 24 English. France 24 English, this is no time for politics, says Israeli hostage's daughter. The New Statesman, the last text I got from my dad was, they are in the safe room. They caught us. CNN, devastated Israeli searches for missing sister after Hamas attack on worst-hit kibbutz. Tina Satchwell, man charged by police investigating murder of Irish woman who went missing in 2017. Sky News, Tina Satchwell, man charged in County Cork murder inquiry. BBC, missing woman Tina Satchwell's remains identified after being found under home. Yahoo News UK, we hope the family can finally have clarity. Locals hope for answers on what happened to Tina Satchwell. EchoLive.ie, Tina Satchwell's husband Richard charged in connection with her murder and set to appear in court after B. 1 million Palestinians have become human shields for Hamas. The Independent, how would an Israeli ground assault on Gaza unfold? BBC, Israel-Hamas war live, UN says tens of thousands have fled south in Gaza after Israel's evacuation order. The Guardian, Israel-Hamas war, 4 myths that the conflict exposes. Bloomberg, Hamas attack on Israel was a slice of genocide, it's changed everything. Israel-Gaza conflict proves treacherous ground for US politicians. BBC, Trump's dig at Netanyahu shows why he isn't fit to be president. The Spectator, in apparent attempt to damage control, Trump issues statement saying Israel had no better friend than him. The Times of Israel, the Hamas war has made Trump seem far better than Biden on the Middle East. Blinken urges Israel to avoid civilian deaths and wants safe zones in Gaza. The Guardian, Blinken and Qatari Prime Minister hold joint press conference. The Independent, Mission Impossible. Antony Blinken seeks restraint as Middle East sabers rattle. Financial Times, Israel-Hamas war live, Palestinian death toll rises to more than 1,500, Gaza's health system at breaking point, says WHO. The Guardian, Blinken says graphic photo of baby riddled with bullets from Hamas attack defies comprehension. BBC says journalist dragged from car and assaulted by Israeli police. Poland election, Poles prepare to vote as rivals end acrimonious campaign. BBC, Poland election race too close to call as voters prepare to go to polls. The Guardian, support for Eurosceptic leaders wanes in Polish bellwether town ahead of knife-edge elections. The Telegraph, Polish election, democracy just may be on the ballot. Bloomberg, the future of European integration hinges on Poland. Indigenous Voice, Australia votes in historic poll. BBC, Australians decided if Indigenous Voice is needed to advise Parliament on minority issues. The Independent, Voice referendum, Australia votes in nation-defining poll. BBC, as referendum day approaches, here are ways to keep yourselves feeling strong and safe. The Guardian, voting no takes us nowhere. We must open our hearts to yes and the hope of a better future. Israel's darkest day, the 24 hours of terror that shook the country. The Guardian, this is a dangerous moment in Israel-Hamas war, and the rest of the world is holding its breath. Sky News, Israel's week of infamy, we don't yet know where it will end. Financial Times, Diarmid Ferreiter, only safe prediction is that civilians will suffer most in Israel-Hamas war. The Irish Times, Watch, young Palestinians reflect on the Israel-Hamas war. Israel-Hamas war live, UN says tens of thousands have fled south in Gaza. Israel strikes Hezbollah target in Lebanon, says IDF. The Guardian, ignore Israeli evacuation order, Hamas tells citizens as they flee, BBC News. BBC News, Israel-Gaza war, Israel confirms Gaza incursions, as it happened. The Times, opinion, why Israel must reconsider its Gaza evacuation order. The New York Times, Palestinians flee northern Gaza before expected Israeli ground invasion. This was all for the news. Thanks for listening. Please do not forget to like and subscribe.